All right, I'm the flat rate master, and today we're talking about pricing out a job right. All right, so what do I mean by that? In order for us to sell work, we have to quote out a job and then get customer approval. Too many times, too many shops underbid that job. So what happens is they've got to pick up the phone, the service writers, whoever does the calling, and go, yeah, it's going to be $300 more. Sorry. And unfortunately, the mentality of salespeople is sell it as cheap as possible. So poor quality parts usually get ordered, stuff like that. But I'm not getting into that stuff. I'm talking about selling stuff that might be needed to make sure the customer is aware this might be the bill or this might be the bill. Let's do something simple. I've got a car right over there and it needs a starter. Here's my nice new starter for it. Quality Denso. But as a technician, my job is to thoroughly check out the car, and it also needed a battery. Battery failed miserably. Its top is covered in acid. But let's say I put the starter in, put a jump box on it, cranked it up, let it run for a while, or put the charger on it, parked it outside, let it sit out there, and the customer pays and comes to pick it up, and it doesn't crank. Same problem you had. That's what I mean. I didn't sell a battery with that job or make the customer at least aware it needed a battery. It could have ended badly for the shop and the customer because they're pissed off. They think we're ripping them off because we sold them a starter and it just needed a battery, or vice versa. When you price out a job where you involves taking the serpentine belt off, I don't care what the condition is, sell them a belt. Why? About half the time you get done, you crank it up, you got belt squeal. Then you're putting RTV or graphite powder trying to make it shut up. Just include a belt in the service. They're cheap, they're wear items, and you save the customer a possible breakdown or you a comeback. That's the stuff I mean. Simple stuff. It's not, trying to rip customers off. This example right here. Battery's dead. Battery is not going to keep starting this car for really any longer. But that's not the main need. The main need is a starter. So it ties in. I'm preventing the customer from coming back, taking better care of their vehicle by pricing the job out correctly. Now, some of the other things. Let's talk about, I don't have an example here, but Nissan valve covers. If you're unaware, if they're plastic, the spark plug tube seals are not replaceable. In order to replace them, you need to replace the valve cover. Some parts catalogs say they're available. Yeah, good luck with that. If there's any, well, I'm going to rephrase that. You need to prep them. If you're going to do valve covers on those kind of vehicles, they may need a valve cover. Because, well, let's face it, it's probably going to need a valve cover. Those seals aren't hard now. They're probably not making it the life of that car. BMW valve covers with the crankcase vent valve integrated into the valve cover. Minis, Volkswagens, Audis, etc. We no longer sell valve cover gaskets anymore. Why? We've had too many comebacks. Not because we did anything wrong. We put a new valve cover gaskets on it, doesn't leak, but then the crankcase vent valve fails 6 months, a year later, and they're mad at us because we have to go back in there and do something we already did, except replace the actual valve cover. So now, we just sell a valve cover. It hasn't failed yet, but it will. And we have a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty, so 9 times out of 10, when it comes back with a bad valve cover, we're eating at least a little bit of it, if not all the labor, trying to keep the customer happy. So better just to go ahead and sell them a valve cover instead of, resealing it and having them come back. By the way, the worst one we had was 2 weeks. We did a valve cover reseal. I did it. It was me. I did it. 2 weeks later, the car came back screaming out of the cap because it failed. Customer was livid. We screwed something up. We wound up eating that job, keeping customers happy. Plastic hoses. There's a possibility of you breaking a coolant hose or plastic piping, any of that kind of stuff included in the ticket. If you don't need it, put it back, send it back. But if it gets broke, you don't have to go back and sell it to the customer because it's already on the job. So, that's the thing, is you don't have to install XYZ part just because you sold it. If it didn't break on removal and it fits on back on fine, you don't charge the customer for it. Their bill's lower, you're a hero, and everybody can move on all happy instead of a customer coming back yelling at you because the bill's more expensive than when they started because something broke. Now, obviously, there's stuff you can't predict, but do your best so most contingencies are covered in your quote. And all you got to do is explain to the customer, this is the high end, this is the low end, here's your possible range. We're going to do everything that we can to get in this range, but there's a possibility it may be this. So explain that to your customers. They'll be much happier for it, especially when you come on the low side. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe. Make sure and hit that bell notification to get notified when I put out a new video. You didn't like this video? Well, and as always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.